Alright, so in this video we're going to learn how to create two different types of buttons, a regular button and then also a custom button. Here they are right now. We have the regular button here on the top, and then below that we have the custom button. When we select the top button, we're going to get button 1 pressed, and then below that on the custom one we're going to get button 2 pressed. Let's go ahead, jump right in and get started. Alright, assuming you've already created your React Native project and you're at your app.js file right here, we're going to go ahead and get started. We're going to start off with the imports. So far we should have the number 1 line, the import of the status bar. Then we have a couple down here for the style sheet, text, and view. We're going to add 2 more here though. We're going to add a comma, and we're going to add capital B button. And then we're also going to go ahead and add the pressable for our custom button as well. Go ahead and make sure you have that there. Perfect. Alright, one more thing we're going to add. We're going to do another import, and we're going to be adding some curly brackets, and this is going to be for the use state that we're going to use to change the text when we select the button. So make sure you have that there. It should just look like that. Awesome. Alright, go ahead and save that there. Perfect. Alright, let's go ahead and create the 2 little functions we're going to use for the buttons real quick. So right underneath our export default function app, right over here, we're going to go ahead and add those. First thing we're going to do first is create a constant for our use state. So we're going to create a constant, regular brackets, then we're going to call this the button, comma, set the button, just like that. Perfect. Then we're going to go ahead and equal that to use state, give it some parentheses. Inside those parentheses we're going to have some empty double quotes. Awesome. Alright, perfect. Now from there we're going to go ahead and create the functions. So below that I'm going to add an enter. We're going to do another constant. We're going to go ahead and call this one button 1 pressed. Go ahead, give it equal, parentheses, leave those parentheses empty. We're going to do equal, less than, curly brackets, open it up. Awesome. So inside of there, simply what we're going to do is set the button, give it some parentheses, and then we're going to pass in some quoted text. I'm just going to go ahead and say button 1 pressed. Perfect. Now we can go ahead and just copy this whole function here, paste it right below it, and then change a couple things. Of course, we're going to change the name, which is going to be button 2 pressed, and then also inside the text, we're going to change that to 2 as well. Awesome. All right, go ahead and save that. So far, so good. All right, let's continue on to make the structure now. So we're going to go ahead, scroll on down to the return. Now we can go ahead and leave the first view here and the status bar, but we are going to go ahead and take away this text, or we can keep the tags, but we are going to change the text inside. Let's go ahead and remove that. We're going to go ahead and output the use state text that we have. So let's go ahead and give it some curly brackets. Inside of those curly brackets, simply enough, we're going to go ahead and we're going to give it the button. And also in the opening tag, we're going to give it a style that we're going to create a little later. I'm going to start off with just style, and then we're going to go ahead, equal that, curly brackets, styles with an S, dot, and I'm simply going to call it the capital T text. Awesome. All right, so far so good. Now let's go ahead and create the first button. This is going to be the regular button. So to do that, we're going to go ahead, give an open greater than symbol, and just use capital B button tag. I'm going to close it, so we have 2 tags there. Perfect. Awesome. So now we're going to go ahead in the opening tag and set a couple things. In the opening tag, we're going to go ahead and set the title. Whoops. We're going to set that to whatever you want the name on the button to be. And simply enough, I'm going to go ahead and just call it button 1. Just like that. Perfect. Now still inside the opening tag, we're also going to go ahead and set the color. And I'm going to go ahead and just set that to double quotes of purple. Awesome. So far so good. Now we also have to set the on press. So let's go ahead and set on press, and simply enough we're going to set it to the button 1 function that we just created. Awesome. Alright, so make sure you have all that there. Perfect. Go ahead and save that. And if you go ahead now and launch it, I'm already running my app. I'm going to be using the web browser, so just W is what I'm going to be using. So I'm going to go ahead, launch that. It'll go ahead and open it up in your browser. And there you go. If you want to see it in mobile view, all you got to do is F12 and make sure you are selecting the mobile button right here in Chrome. Awesome. So far so good. So this is our regular button, and as you can tell, the function works as well. Awesome. All right, let's go back into the code and do the other button now. All right, so below that button, still inside the view, we're going to go ahead and create a pressable now. So let's go ahead and add that pressable. Awesome, I'm going to open up the pressable. So we're going to add another thing inside of that pressable also, and that's going to be a simple text. Now the main difference between the button and then of course the pressable is we have a lot more control with the pressable button, which is the customizable button. We can basically add text tags inside of it. We can also go ahead and maybe surround it with a view or put a view inside of it as well. So the custom button is a lot better if you want more control, but if you just simply want a simple button that's for testing or maybe practice, then you can use the regular button. Let's continue though with the custom button. So for the text, let's go ahead and give it some text. I'm simply going to go ahead and give it text of capital all caps, button 2. Awesome. All right, back in the opening tag of the pressable though, we're going to go ahead and set a couple things. We're going to start off with the on press. So go ahead, on press, curly brackets. Inside the curly brackets, we're going to go ahead and set this one now to button 2 pressed. Awesome. All right, now a couple things we're going to need to set also for the pressable is a simple style function where we can go ahead and change the color. So currently, if we go ahead, save this, go back into our browser, maybe we got to refresh it. There we go. We have this pressable button down here where if we go ahead and press it, it still works, but of course we don't have the color, we don't have the flash like we do with this one up here. So we got to go ahead and add some things for that to be possible for the custom one. So let's go ahead and add all that in our pressable in the opening tag still. We're going to go ahead and we're going to set the style equal. We're going to go ahead and give it some curly brackets. Inside those curly brackets though, we're going to go ahead and pass in some parentheses. In this parentheses, again, we're going to give it some curly brackets and say pressed, just like that. All right, I'm going to give it a space on the back and the front. And simply enough, outside of the parentheses, but still inside the curly brackets, we're going to go ahead and do an equal sign, less than. And then we're going to go ahead and give it an array. Now inside of this, I'm going to open it up. We're going to go ahead and pass in another set of curly brackets. And simply enough, we're going to give it a background color. And we're going to go ahead and set that to pressed, question mark. Wherever my question mark, there we go, question mark. And then we're going to go ahead, give it some double quotes. And I'm simply going to pass in a value, which is going to be a faded purple. And that's kind of what we want to match it to with the above button. It's this RGBA value, and you can just copy this off mine. I'm going to copy what I have and then paste it in here. So if pressed, it's going to go ahead and give this faded purple value. Now, when it's done pressed though, it's going to go ahead and set it back to what we want right over here. And simply enough, I'm going to make it match the other one and just do purple as well. Awesome. So make sure you have that. All right. Now another cool thing we're going to add to this pressable custom button is a background color, or not a background color, a border color. So kind of like a surrounding black color that you can add on the custom buttons. So I'm going to add a comma there, and we're going to add another set of curly brackets. And simply enough, we're going to do a border color this time. And similar to what we just did, we're going to go ahead, do pressed. So if pressed, question mark. We're going to go ahead and give it a faded color of our border, which is going to be like a darker gray. And I have that same value over here that you can just copy off from me. I'm going to paste that right over here. Don't forget to give it quotes. It's going to be another RGBA value. So go ahead, add that in there. That's like a faded gray. And then the original color that we're going to have it as is just going to be black. So in double quotes, we're going to do black. Awesome. All right. So when our button's pressed, it's going to give it the style that we have right over here for this one and this one. And then of course, when it's done, it's going to go back. Now we need to give it a default style. To do that, simply enough, we're going to do a comma here and then set the default style that we're going to create later on. So we're going to do styles dot, and I'm just going to call it custom button, just like that. Awesome. I'm going to end it with a comma. You don't have to if you don't want to, since it's the last one. So go ahead and make sure you got all that down for the pressable. Awesome. And then last but not least, we're going to give a style to the text as well, so it matches somewhat to the button up here. So again, I'm going to do style equal curly brackets, styles with an S, dot, and we give it a name. I'm simply going to do custom button text, just like that. Awesome. All right, go ahead and save what we got here so far. And we might get an error, but let's go ahead and double check it. I'm going to go back to our browser. I'm going to refresh what we got here, and there we go. Now we're going to edit the style of this button, but currently it is purple, and when we click it, it goes to that faded color, and then goes back to purple. Awesome. That's exactly what we want. So far, so good. All right. All right, let's go ahead and add the final touches, which is going to be the style part. Let's go ahead back into the code. All right, let's go ahead and add some style. Let's scroll on down here to our styles. Currently we have the container one, which we can leave the same, but we're going to add a couple more. I'm going to go ahead and start off with the text one we have. So I'm going to type in the text. Perfect. Give it a colon, open it up with some curly brackets, and simply what I'm going to put in here is just a margin. And I'm going to set that margin to 30. Awesome. Save that. We're also going to go ahead and we're going to give the custom button itself. So we're going to do custom button, open that up, and we're going to set a couple things for the custom button just to make it look a little nicer. We're going to go ahead and we're going to give it a border width, and I'm going to set the border width to a 5, comma. Then we're also going to go ahead, set a couple more things. So we got the border width. We're also going to go ahead and let's give it some padding. We're going to give it some padding of about 4. We're also going to go ahead and we're going to give it a margin. We're going to give it a margin of, let's do 15. Then let's go ahead, let's do a border radius. And let's set that border radius to another 15. Awesome. All right, so far so good. Let's do a comma down here. Let's set another one. This one here is just going to be for the custom button text. So let's find that. There we go. Nope, that's not it. Custom button text. There we go. Open that up. Perfect. All right, let's go ahead and add a couple things in here for this one. Simply enough, we're going to go ahead and change the color to white. And when you change it to white, make sure it's in quotes. Awesome. Then we're going to go ahead. We're going to go ahead and give it a font weight, just to make it a little more bold. I'm going to go ahead and set that to bold. Perfect. Comma, one more. And we're going to go ahead and change the font size. And simply enough, I'm going to go ahead and just change the font size to 35. Awesome. So go ahead and make sure you got all these styles down. We only added a few. Perfect. Make sure to save them. Then let's go ahead, jump back into our browser. Let's hit refresh. And there we go. Awesome. So our button looks a little nice. I like how it's a little rounded, has a border as well. Awesome. Looks like the size is a little smaller to what I wanted because I wanted to show you that we can increase it as well. Let's go back into the code. We have our button down here. We have 15, 15. We also have 35 for the font. Did we spell font size correctly? Font weight. Looks like the font didn't exactly take it. Did we name it correctly? Custom button text. Custom button text. All right, let's go ahead and change the font maybe to a little higher. I'm going to do, let's do a 60. Save that. Back to our code. Let's go ahead, let it refresh. Looks like it's not taking the button font. Let's go ahead, try something else. Font size, doesn't like it. Font weight, we're good there. What do we got to do wrong for that? Styles, custom button text. Looks like that's set there. It might be forcing it smaller because we made it connected to the button there, but that should be good. Let's go ahead. Oh, you know what it is? We're putting the font size in quotes. Let's go ahead, get rid of those quotes, change it back to a 35, and it should be good. Awesome. Let's go ahead, back there, hit refresh, and there we go. Awesome. All right, so far so good. If we select button 1, we should get this nice button 1 pressed. And then button 2 as well. Awesome. Alrighty. Congratulations if you made it this far. I will see you next time. Hey guys, if you're enjoying this video and serious about becoming a developer, you should totally consider joining Red Fools Academy. Once you sign up, you will get full access to all of our premium courses, support from myself and the Red Fools Studio team. Our courses include full stack website development, app development, game development, and many more to come. On your first sign up, you get a free 7 days to try it all out. A link will be added to the description, or you can go to the official website at redfoolstudio.com. See you in the lectures!